has always been coverage. What I mean by that is that laptops have, for example, always been excluded from your central backup regime. Branch offices, anywhere data is distributed user data, it was likely that the traditional backup solution in place on the network wouldn't cover the data. Contrast that with online backup, where every single device is under the backup cloud. So my iPhone, my BlackBerry, my iPad, my laptop, my Mac, all of my devices are connected and always can be protected no matter where they are or what network they're on. So it dramatically simplifies data protection, even if that data is being distributed on all those different endpoint devices. Media, of course, there is no media with online backup, and as we've seen in the last few years, misplaced media has been behind some of the more embarrassing and higher profile data loss incidents that have occurred. Recovery, with traditional backup, data recovery has always been a central IT function. It's always been slow and difficult. Anybody who's had to do a full environment restore from tape knows what I'm talking about. That can be a 3 or 4 day process. Whereas with online backup, your recovery window is immediate. Your only variable is how fast your connection is in terms of downloading the data back from the cloud. So typical recovery scenarios are under an hour, because all mission critical data can be recovered immediately, and then second tier data can be recovered in a second phase, and that may take a day, for example, to recover all of the data, but all your mission critical data can be restored almost instantly. Actually, another topic on recovery is delegating recovery to users. So another major IT headache with traditional backup technology is that to do a recovery, you need to punch a ticket to IT. Whereas with online backup, that recovery management can actually be pushed down to the desktop so users can manage their own recovery and don't need to escalate. Another major efficiency gain. From a security standpoint, hardware backups always been typically been deployed in an insecure way. There are ways to secure hardware-based backup. You can encrypt data before it goes to tapes, etc. But you've then still got physical data vulnerability because tapes are subject to being misplaced or stolen. None of that applies with online backup. You've got military-grade encryption being used as what's become pretty much an industry standard now. SOS is on the very high end of the security mechanisms that are available in the online backup industry, and we'll talk more about that in 2 slides' time. But generally, if your clients are comfortable using Salesforce and your clients are comfortable using online banking, then they're going to be comfortable using online backup. Access to data, well, we've actually touched on this when we talked about recovery. One of the other benefits of online backup, though, is that the data is accessible anywhere. So just like I was talking earlier about protecting any node on the network, I can also recover from any node on the network. So here with my iPhone app, I can log into my SOS account and I can search and index and grab all of my content. A feature which I use myself extensively. I've got an iPad and an iPhone, and I've got a MacBook, and I've got 2 PCs and a laptop. And I've got all of my data available on all of those devices, no matter where I am or which of those devices I'm using. And that's extremely powerful, particularly with the mobile apps. From a cost standpoint, we've just looked at the slide to see how much more affordable online backup is. And then from a margin and revenue standpoint, and we're going to see this trend more and more throughout the presentation, there's very healthy margins in the online backup industry for resellers. So whereas traditional backup technology is something that IT resellers carry in their product line because they have to, and it's not really a profit center, online backup can be a very rich profit center for you. You can expect to earn 50 to 60% gross margin on products sold with a recurring, predictable revenue stream. So the economics of it are very attractive. Whether you're a large IT consultancy or whether you're a small one-man shop, the margins and predictable nature of the revenue is very attractive. All right, so 2 more comments about dive into the technology. There are 2 questions we get very, very frequently. One is, how big is the opportunity, and have I missed the boat? Or have I waited too long? Is there still an opportunity for me to get involved? So just at a high level, the overall backup and DR industry is roughly a $10 billion a year industry, and that's across hardware, software, and services, and then also across enterprise, small business, consumer. The total online backup industry is still less than $1 billion. So if you accept that online backup is poised to take 70 to 80% market share over the next 5 to 10 years, remembering that the term online backup encompasses all of the cloud storage moves underway. So we're then looking at an industry that's going to be $6 or $7 billion in total at maturity, and today is still at under $1 billion. So we're still looking at 500 to 600% growth over where the industry is today in the years ahead. It's an interesting time in the market because the technology is no longer cutting edge, it's no longer bleeding edge, it's very well accepted. So I think the market's at an inflection point, and now is a great time to get involved. There's a lot of growth, and there's still a lot of growth ahead of us. Okay, so let's flip across to the SOS Technology Stack itself. Question here on the line from Scott. Is there an Android app? Scott, there's a mobile portal that we're pushing for the use on all smartphones, including Android. So it will dynamically resize itself for Android. It's not a native Android app, but it gives you all the functionality you need delivered through a web app. We found that's a faster way for us to keep the technology up to date. We've got mixed comments from our partner base on whether or not a native Android app would be useful or not. So at the moment, we don't have an Android app. We've got a BlackBerry app and an iPhone app and an iPad app, and we're looking at Android, but at the moment we've got the web portal, which we're promoting instead of the native client. And actually, that's a good segue. As we go into the technology here, this is the time where we usually get most questions. Most of the people who attend these webinars are usually fairly technical people, so please don't be shy. Ask any questions on these features you like, and we'll also do Q&A at the end if you don't get a chance to ask now. So at a high level, the SOS Product Roadmap is always designed around these 4 key concepts on screen. SOS's mission is to help you protect your data, access your data, share your data, and manage your data. So protect is really about hardcore backup and recovery. Access is about giving you access to your data anywhere, anytime, from any device. Sharing is about getting that data out to business colleagues or friends in different formats, whether that's emails to work folk, or whether that's on Facebook to share a photo album. And then management is really a very partner-centric concept. If you've got 300 clients using your online backup solution, how do you manage that? How do you report on that? How do you monitor all of that? And that's where our management solution comes in. Our technology, just at a high level, is very well regarded in the industry. If you've been to our website, you'll know that we win a lot of awards for our product and for our technology. We've been PC Magazine Editor's Choice for the last 5 years, as an example, and won numerous other industry awards and been written up by, most recently, for example, the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune. So generally, we've got excellent product validation. I think we can legitimately claim to be best of breed from a technology standpoint in the industry. And I'm just going to highlight some of the features that I think are most important in these next 2 slides. But I'd encourage you all to visit the website and go to the Features tab, and check out all the different features, read about them, encourage you to get a trial of the product, and of course talk to our partner specialists about getting access to all the back-end functionality that you as a partner would have access to. But right now, let's talk about the actual backup stack itself. So anything you see here would be rebranded, so ignore the branding for now. This is obviously the SOS livery. All right, so in terms of functionality, another thing that SOS does at sort of an architectural level is to build as much technology into the default product as we can. So we generally don't piecemeal things off. We usually don't license things on a separate basis. There's a lot of functionality built into the technology stack that's not used, but it therefore makes it a very versatile technology stack. I've got some questions coming in here. Great, I'll answer all those questions. Keep them coming. I'll tackle those just after I go through this slide. So just to highlight that, for example, continuous data protection, the product's got a built-in CDP module. Similar modules from vendors like Symantec or Legato would cost $1,000 per server, whereas SOS's CDP module is just built into the product, and that can be used to watch files and truly detect when files are changed and then just back up the changes. So it's only going to back up the block level changes at that time. It's not simulated the way Mozy or Carbonite is, which is constantly dragging on system resources. It's a true file system watcher that is only going to use processes as and when watched files is changed. Unlimited computers. This is a pretty important feature. If you're familiar with, say, Mozy Pro, for example, you'll know that they charge $3.95 per seat just to install, per month, sorry, just to install their software. So just an ongoing license fee, which can really add up. If you've got 100 computers that are being deployed, then you're looking at roughly $5,000 a year just in license fees before any data is actually backed up to the cloud. With SOS, there are no license fees, so you can connect an unlimited number of PCs to an SOS account and back them all up to the SOS cloud. And the only thing that matters is the amount of data that's being backed up to the cloud. Access through browser, iPhone, we've covered most of these. Integrated local backup. So again, just building as much technology to the product as possible. There's a fully functioning local backup engine that lets you back up to disk or back up to network location. So you don't need to forego local backups. You can keep full local backups as well as remote backups. And we really encourage that. Turning to the questions here, Dimple asks, can you elaborate on data center provider and locations? Dimple, we've got 11 data centers around the world. We've got 5 in the United States, and then a couple in Europe and several in Asia. David asks, what's the cost to have your logo branded on the software when reselling? David, there's not a cost per se. We've got multiple partner programs, and like a tier 1 partner is our most popular partner offering, and branding is just built into that. So there's not a per se cost for that. Miguel asks, how much data is included in a $1,000 a year account? Miguel, it would depend on what type of partner you are and how your partnership with us is structured. So I actually can't give you an easy or a simple answer to that question, actually. It depends on which partnership program you're in. The best thing to do for specific pricing is to call in and talk to a partner specialist to get to talk through which partner program would be most applicable to your business. Doug asks, what security is used? That's actually a great segue, Doug. This next item here. So from a security standpoint, we take security very seriously. All data is encrypted on the original device before it's shipped. So with other vendors in the market, someone like Box.net, for example, all the data is getting transmitted to their cloud. Well, when I say unencrypted, I should be careful. It gets transferred typically over SSL, but oftentimes not. So solutions like that are a lot less secure than SOS Online Backup, where everything is encrypted locally on this PC, then transferred over an encrypted connection, and then stored encrypted at rest. So you've got 3 different elements to the encryption program. There's also a private key option where you can encrypt the data with a private key only known to you, and that's really important for customers who are particularly sensitive to regulatory compliance issues. So customers buying the product, for example, as a HIPAA compliance solution or Sarbanes-Oxley compliance solution. So typically, business customers will opt for private key encryption. That's our ultra-safe feature. Another question here, Chris, where are your data centers located? So Chris, I think we've covered that one. Dimple asks, local backup can backup on tape drive. It can't natively manage the tapes itself, Dimple. So if you've got other tools that can allow you to move its backup archives to tape, then it can do that, but it won't interact directly with the tape drives the way something like Backup Exec would. Okay, so in terms of compression and transfer, all the transfer sessions are resumable, of course. The compression is block-level binary delta compression, so on backups 2 through N, it's only transferring the block-level differences in files that are being transferred. The filtering system allows you to define inclusion and exclusion filters, what to ignore, what not to ignore. Physical media upload, this is the ability to seed the backup set. So what I mean by that is to do the initial backup on a hard disk drive, which you send to us, and we upload to the